Hi guys, my name is Lynn Woods. I am the owner of Let Her Create an Etsy shop, and I have a website coming soon. I have been a little inconsistent with posting because, first of all, I wanted to make sure I was creating content that would be useful as well as designed very pretty. And then I have been researching a lot. I appreciate those of you who have watched the Canva contributor video. I'm really glad that I was able to help someone out. Thank you for the likes and the thumbs up and for the subscriptions that generated from that video. If you enjoy the content that I'm creating for you, please continue to engage with a like or a subscribe. Hit the notification so you know when I do post, because I am creating content for new and upcoming designers, people who are just dabbling, people who want to create an Etsy store, create digital printables, and whatever other platforms they have. Now, I am coming from a graphic design background. I went to school for it, and I want to just let everyone know you don't necessarily have to go to school for graphic design, because as long as you start learning the aesthetics and learning your programs that you're using, anything is possible. Design and art and creativity is something you can take anywhere. But the topic of today's video is apps to use for designing digital images. Now, again, like I was saying, you don't just have to be contributing to Canva. You can be creating, excuse me, a creative Fabrica store, an Etsy shop. You can be working on your own concepts for things. You can be taking your designs into Canva. Even you can be a Canva contributor, as I've discussed on this channel before, but it doesn't matter. The world is your oyster. So without further ado, some of the things that we're going to discuss first is some of the pros and the cons of the apps. And I'm saying apps because I'm operating most of the time off of my iPad. I do not have an Android device. And if you find some of the content fits or not fits, that's fine. You just take what you need and you throw away the rest. So first point is going to be to evaluate the cost, because there is some level of investment on some of the apps that I'm going to mention. And you want to determine what your spending points are, how much you can afford to spend. And that leads me to the second point, which is the level of investment to learn the tools and the interface of the program, as well as learning the file formats that you'll need for certain things. If you're a very entry level, if you're just starting out, that's something that you can look into. There's lots of activity on YouTube University, I call it, for you to learn that. But today we're just focusing on the apps. And then the other thing you want to think about, or some of the pros and the cons, is what devices you'll be using, whether you'll be using a desktop, a laptop, Android, iPad, because there is a certain amount of RAM or space or hardware needed for the app to function. But we're not addressing that. We're just mainly addressing what apps you'll be using or you can use. So that leads us to the first level of cost, which is subscription based. Now, some of the softwares that I found was Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Fresco, which is included in certain bundles. And then there is an app called InkPad. Now, when I first got my iPad, I downloaded InkPad because I have to say that I wasn't ready to commit to a monthly subscription after having purchased 2 Adobe Creative Suite software discs that I had uploaded into my computer. And I had the entire Creative Suite. So I was a little salty. I have to be honest. I was a little salty about it. And I wasn't ready to make the level of commitment, as I didn't know even how it would function on my iPad, or if I would even like it for that matter. But I'm only talking about Adobe at this point, because something you want to consider is that even if you download Illustrator, and Illustrator is going to create your vector-based your vector-based images, you're paying roughly around $22 per month. Now, with it, I do believe you get the computer version or MacBook version of the software. It comes in a bundle, and that is something you want to think about, because if you need Photoshop, that is an independent fee or a different bundle that they have for you to work with. Adobe Fresco is a app that you can use, and it uploads into the Creative Cloud and works with Adobe Illustrator and I believe Photoshop. Again, I'm not too sure because I only have certain tools and things that I need. I myself have Adobe Illustrator, and it came with the Adobe Fresco. And every now and then I'm on the fence about whether or not I'm going to maintain the subscription. So that is something to consider, because $22 a month is a nice bit of change at the end of the year. Inkpad, now there's a little caveat to Inkpad that I found, because when I first got it for my iPad, it was free 99. I'm a big proponent of free 99, especially if it's a way for me to still do the things that I need to do, want to do, and enjoy doing. Now, when I recently completed the research for the video, I did find they had a 12-month subscription as well as a monthly subscription for the program. Now, the monthly price was $1.49, and then the yearly price was $6.99. So I'm not sure if they still have their free platform. I'm not sure if they still have the monthly, because I don't recall ever paying a fee for it. And I'm not sure with the subscriptions what new features you get. When I tried to investigate, it was only looping me back into the software and saying I had access to paying for a subscription. And I didn't want to do that today. So I don't know if you decide you want to try Inkpad and you figure out, or you know what features you get, please drop the information for me. I would be grateful to maybe add it to my repertoire, because it may be something I'm interested in. And so now this brings us to the flat fee programs and apps. Now, Serif Affinity has been a total godsend. There are a lot of people who have transitioned because they were very upset with Adobe for going to a subscription-based platform. And I have to say personally, I was one of them, because I was a diehard Photoshop girl for a very, very long time. But since I'm not even sure when Serif Affinity came out, all I know is I found them during the pandemic, and they were offering their apps at the time for the low of $9.99. It was great, because we all had all this time on our hands, was able to learn a new interface and everything. So, which leads me to the point, Affinity Designer is going to be your comparable Adobe Illustrator project. You can make vectors, you can create PDFs and things just as you would in Adobe Illustrator. Affinity Photo is the comparable app to Adobe Photoshop. You can work on your images, you can add whatever it is that you add to photos. You can change the lighting, you can turn them to black and white, you can do a lot with the program. And then finally we have Affinity Publisher. Now that is a computer only. There is no iPad version of it, just because I think it is a little bit more taxing on them to design that. I'm not sure. There was lots of conversation about them having an iPad version of Affinity Publisher. The threads kind of are all over the place, and I again wasn't researching that. That's for another video. And then finally we have Procreate, and that is a one-time flat fee, and you are creating raster images. Now, what you won't be able to do with Procreate is create vectors, because there's a difference between a raster image and vector images. And again, that is for another video. I will try to link some in the description below for you to go and find the pertinent information that you need. And then there is this wonderful place called YouTube University where you can figure out all things that you need. Now, the flat fees for the iPad version of Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo were $19.99. And Affinity Publisher, like I said, is computer-based. So the computer-based versions of Designer, Photo, and Publisher are $50 on my MacBook. I'm not clear on what the Windows platform is. I'm assuming that it's going to be the same price, but again, I only have a MacBook and I don't have a Windows PC to navigate and better ask that question for you. But working from, like I said, the iPad and MacBook Air, that is what I have access to. So Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer have an iPad version, and that's where you can start if you only have an iPad. Procreate is only for iPad, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, please let me know. No big deal, no worries. Just giving you this information. So this leads me to my favorite section, the free 99 Apple iPads, the Apple iPad apps that will allow you to create. So one of the apps that I found on my research was this app called Vectornator. Now, when I opened it up, it was great. It looked just like Illustrator, but it's still a foreign concept to me because I'm unfamiliar with how the app functions. I haven't invested the time necessarily to look into the app or to actually create anything. Maybe I will dedicate some time in the coming weeks to create just a couple of simple things, just to maybe even create a video for, or maybe I will indulge in YouTube University or go to their website. But what I enjoy about the app a whole lot was that it's free, and it also has an Apple, like a phone version to it. So I thought that was really great. So remember that app InkPad? So it says it was free when I downloaded it, and I enjoyed it. I've had it for a very long time. When I, like I said, was not able to and wasn't filling up to paying for the subscription, my workarounds was finding things that would still get the job accomplished. You can export in SVG, PNG, JPEG, any of the standard formats that you'll need to create your items for Canva Contributor or whatever it is that you're doing. You can import things. It is just another tool in the toolbox when your money's funny or you're just starting out and you don't have the level of investment yet. So I want to show you some of the apps and what they look like when you're in the interface. Here is Affinity Designer. It's one of my more favorite programs just because, like I said, it had that flat fee and I am able to do everything that I need to do. All of my projects are here. I can group everything together and it's great for me. And that one-time cost, works. Here's Affinity Photo. I don't do a lot of photo editing anymore. So I'm mainly, creating my mock-ups, looking at drawing, images within the program. And I have a lot running on my app right now, and that's okay. Vectornator, like I said, I haven't invested anything into it, but I've shown you what the interface looks like. And, you know, like I said, when you're just starting out, that may be a tool that you use. So I hope that someone found this content useful. I hope it was able to help you start on your journey or continue on your journey or find another tool to add to your toolbox, because you can never really have enough tools, just as long as you're not using, only if you're not using them. If you enjoy the content, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions or you want to see some of the functionality of some of those apps. I am more than willing to show you. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a happy Saturday or whatever day it is when you watch this video.